Mario Kart 8!
Well. We're on the final ranking video. All the waves are out, and it is time. It is time for me to do ranking waves 1 to 6 on the Booster Course Pass. Yes, all 48 Booster Course Pass tracks. I'm going to rank them each from my least favorite to my favorite, 48 to 1. This is a video I've been working on for a bit now. I'm very excited. I've been wanting to do this video for a bit now. I've been actually wanting to do it for a while now. And I finally get the opportunity. All 6 waves are out. And yeah, it is time. There's a lot of good tracks in this game. There's a lot of bad tracks. There's a lot of in the middle. There's a lot of better than they were in their previous game. A lot of worse than they were in their previous game. But I'm going to give my opinion. They're not going to be really long opinions. They're going to be short and simple opinions of like why each track is going to be this. I just want it to be clear. So if there's not like a good explanation, it's just probably because it's a shortened up explanation. So I just wanted to get that out there before we start the video, guys. But anyways, guys, if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe if you guys are enjoying the content. You know, I would really much appreciate it. We're trying to keep going, keep pushing the channel, and I appreciate everyone that has subscribed. Thank you, guys. And anyone watching this video, thank you. Thank you for watching this. Stay tuned. I got a whole list coming up for you. And yeah, let's get started. Well, this was kind of expected. Mario Circuit 3 is last place on the list. Now, although it isn't the worst track layout of all these Booster Course tracks, it definitely gets last place in everything else. It looks gross. Everything around it is gross. Nothing is new. Nothing is updated. This is one of the laziest attempts Nintendo has made in the Booster Course Pass. Coming in at 47 is going to be Toad Circuit. Now, if you're wondering what the laziest track layout is, it is on Toad Circuit. However, I don't think it's as bad as Mario Circuit 3, mainly just because there's actually like a theme around it. It does look kind of interesting. I'm not going to say it looks really interesting. It just looks more interesting than Mario Circuit 3. But basically everything else kind of sucks about it. It's just slightly better than Mario Circuit 3. Coming in at number 46 is the worst tour track, Tokyo Blur. Yes, they screwed up Tokyo. Tokyo of all places. This track is really boring. Most of it is just street. It's a very short track. There's a few thwomps here and there, and I do like going into the part where there's the highway and the glider, but that's really it. There is not much else to this track, and it just makes it really boring. Coming in at number 45 is going to be New York Minute. I did give New York Minute the slight edge. I know this is the first tour track ever, but this is an incredibly boring track. Some people say that the rain on the ground looks kind of nice. I disagree. I think the rain on the street looks terrible. I don't think there's really anything interesting, maybe besides the last lap, where you go into the parking spot or the hotel, whatever it is, but it's a boring track overall. Coming in at number 44 is the biggest disappointment I had playing a track in. It is Sunset Wilds. Wow, they did a terrible job remaking this course. They really did absolutely nothing. They just added the tour version and then just decided, hey, let's just keep the sun how it is. It's called Sunset Wilds, and they didn't bring back the best part of the track. That explains it all right there. Coming up next is going to be Sky Garden. Now, for how much I love it on the GBA as it being my favorite GBA course, this is an extreme disappointment. Yeah, I don't know who on the tour team decided to make a completely different track, but this is not Sky Garden. This is not at all Sky Garden. And that specifically makes the reason of this being so much lower. Why didn't they bring Sky Garden back? What is this track? Coming in at number 42 is going to be Merry Mountain. Now, I know that some people are going to be disappointed, and although, yes, the theme is really cool, I got to be straight up, guys. The track layout is incredibly boring. I do like the train part where you go up the train rails, but mainly that's it. Climbing up the mountain is cool, but when you go down that slope, I'm not gonna lie, it's extremely boring. It's a very boring slope down. It's really slow and it's really disappointing. Coming at number 41 is going to be Rosalina's Ice World. Now, I gave it slightly the edge over Merry Mountain because the track layout is better. I can't deny that. If you guys do know and you saw the Wave 6 video, you guys know that I do not like this track at all. And that still stands. I don't like this track. I don't like the ice theme. I don't like that Rosalina is barely themed in this track. And there's not much interest into this track to keep it any higher. What once was a decent tour track turned into number 40 on this list. Let's just say that the track's definitely got better since Wave number 1. This track isn't terrible, there just isn't as much other tour tracks. There isn't much to the track. I do like the Paris theme to it, but it does get kind of bland after lap 1. I do like the lap 3 going backwards, but there isn't really much else to the track. If we were rating the music, this would definitely be up there, but we are actually rating the track, so this is definitely not going up there. This track is incredibly boring. I gave it slightly over the edge of Paris Promenade because, you know, London Loop, it's got a little bit more interesting of a track layout, but I will say this is the most road track out of all the tour tracks, and it's incredibly boring. I don't like the road parts of the tracks, and the fact that this is the most road tells it all. Great theme, terrible track layout. That's all I'm going to mainly say for this track. Sky High Sunday, love the ice cream theme, and I love the zero gravity, or the anti-gravity, whatever you want to call it. But I will say this is literally a loop. It's just a basic track loop. It's incredibly boring. I don't like that how they made that as the track layout. There's some cool parts. I like going through the ice cream, and I do obviously like the zero gravity, but that is really it. Now, this is one of those tracks that trick me every single time. Although the track design and all the background is really cool, and it's a great theme, every time I play this track thinking it's going to be really cool, it just turns out that there's not that much to this track as it's thought. There's some poorly made parts of this track, and there's not as much as it seems, so I'm giving it a little lower than most of the tour tracks. I'm giving this one the slight edge over Athens Dash because of the Rome Coliseum, the chain chomp part, and I like gliding over the little rings. But that's mainly it. This track is another track where it's a great theme of Rome. I love it, but the track overall is kind of boring itself. There's a lot of just road areas, and it is more Rome themed road, but it doesn't make it as interesting as most other tracks. Very short and sweet track. I love a few things about this. Obviously, the walking piranhas are really cool. Jumping off the bridge, jumping off where you get to the started line, going inside the cave is really cool. But it is a very short and sweet track. I will say, this is the first GBA track that I do like a lot. It's a very nice GBA track. It's just a very short track, and it doesn't bring much more to it than the few things that it does. Coming up next is Mario Circuit, and I just want to say that this is a very underrated track that people forget very often. Now, it's not one of the best tracks in the world. Obviously, it's Mario Circuit, let's be straight up here. But there's a lot of cool parts of this track that people don't even really remember. I mean, you got the Goombas, you got the piranha plant shooting fire at you, you jump off the little cliff that brings you to the castle, and the part where you're in the jungle with Wiggler. It's really cool. Coming in at number 33 is going to be Choco Mountain. Now, I will say it's not as chocolatey and cool looking as it was in the original 2 version, but I will say this is the best version of Choco Mountain. I think the glider part really helped it. I think the fact that you can't fall off the track, though, kind of helps the track a little bit better, because that did kind of ruin some parts of the track. Not too much to say about this track, but it is a pretty decent track at itself. Number 32, I gave the slight edge for Rock Mountain or Alpine Pass over Choco Mountain. And my reason why is there's just a lot more cool parts to it, and I think the music is just much better. I like going up the hill, gliding off just to go through the tubes. I like all the gliding parts, to be honest with you, but overall, this track is very alright. It's a decent track, but not a great track at itself. I won't lie, I was pretty disappointed when I played Piranha Plant Cove for the first time, and my reason why to it is very bland with a really cool layout. Like, the layout is extremely cool. I love the underwater parts, but goodness gracious, this track is very bland with what it's been given. Very disappointed with it. There's actually only one Piranha Plant in this track, just to say that. Coming in at number 30 is going to be Shroom Ridge. Now, this is actually a kind of underrated track. I don't think this track ever really got a remake until this booster course passed. And although there is some bad grass patches around the track, the overall traffic kind of track with the cool shortcuts and the cool layout, I think is really cool, and it definitely deserves more praise than it actually gets. Next up is a very decent but not amazing tour track, and that's Berlin Byways. Now, Berlin Byways has a lot of street parts and a lot of boring sections, but there's a few cool things about it. Obviously, the thwomps coming down. My favorite being the Berlin Wall. I love the Berlin Wall with the womps coming down. Really cool. There's some few other sections too that make it pretty cool, but not much more else to say. Coming in at number 28 is going to be Wee's Daisy Circuit. Now, this is a very calm and nice circuit track. It's actually pretty underrated if I say so myself. Now, this isn't one of the best tracks. This is, I mean, the worst track of all the Wii tracks on this. But there's a lot of cool parts of this track. There's the boost panels that have never been there. And most of the classic parts, like the glider that goes at the beginning of the track. It's really cool. Coming in at number 27 is going to be Amsterdam Drift. And I will say there's actually a lot of cool parts of this track that are never really shown much. And it's because it's a here and there track. I love the part where you glide up to the boat. I love the windmill part where you glide over. And obviously the roses are very cool. But there is a thing with this track where the rose part is not really the greatest. And I'm not a huge fan of the music. So it's going to stick right here. Coming in at number 26 is Madrid Drive. Now, Madrid Drive, there is a bunch of road parts like some other tracks, but there's a lot of cool parts of this track. One of them being the painting of the Piranha Plant sticking out. You got the soccer stadium, which is incredibly cool. The glider section, of course, and obviously the mall. I think there's a lot of cool parts of this track, but my main problem with this track is that it's a lot of road. Now, I'm not gonna lie, as a Wii guy, starting off with Mario Kart Wii, I never was really huge on Moonview Highway, but playing it on the Deluxe version, the Booster Course Pass, I actually find it really cool. It's a very beautiful track. I love the boost panels. I love how they move every time you do a different race. That actually brings a very unique factor into the track, and yeah, it deserves a spot here. Starting off the top half of my list is going to be Snowland. I love to say that this track got a huge upgrade from its original. It went from a shaky, boring GBA course to this nice, beautiful track that they've remade. And I love the remake of this track. Now, it's not a top tier track. It's a very in the middle track, but it is a very nice remake, especially for a GBA course. I love it. Now, in my original Waves 1-3 track, I actually put Snowland over Boo Lake, but this time I kind of switched it up, and my reason to it is, although I don't like the music as much, I mean, it's Boo Lake, let's be fair, I think there's a lot more cool stuff with this track, and I know it's another short track, it's a GBA course, but I love the ghost, I love the water theme, I love the underwater part, it's just really, really cool. Now, I will say this is the only city tour track in 2022 that the Booster Course Pass brought out that I actually really like. They did a really bad job in the first year, and I'm glad Sydney Sprint came out because it showed that they can make good tracks. There's a lot of cool parts, the boost panel, the glide off sections, a lot of cool certain parts. I love the Yoshi on the Toad. It's very nice. Coming in at number 21 is going to be Vancouver Velocity. Yes, I don't know why I said it's really weird. But let's just say this course has very good parts and some very okay parts. Main part being, that's good, is the suspension bridge. That beginning part is actually so excellent. I love the hockey arena too. Really beautiful two parts. The rest of the stage, however, is just kind of whatever, and that's why it lays right here. Starting off the top 20, we have Daisy Cruiser, and let me just say, I'm really glad that they brought this track back in because it is nice and beautiful. One of my favorite tracks from Double Dash. In fact, they brought 3 great courses from Double Dash. I'm glad that these were the choices they made. Daisy Cruiser, although not much really remade compared to the original, the art of it looks very nice, and I love the way that it made it look. It's beautiful. Now, coming in at number 19 is Singapore Speedway, and I will say this is the most beautiful tour city track that they brought back to the game, and I love it. There's a lot of cool parts of this track. The glider part going down the rings, the little escalator, or like the conveyor belt. I guess it would be conveyor belt. A lot of cool things about this track, and absolutely deserves to be in the top 20. Great job. Now, next up is going to be Bangkok Rush, and I know a lot of people aren't going to agree with this and think Singapore Speedway is better, but I actually find a lot more cool about Bangkok Rush, even though there's some parts I don't like as much compared to Singapore Speedway. Obviously, you have the glider section, you have the parking lot, you have the tents where you jump off of the parking lot, you have the boats where you flip off of and trick off of. I just think there's a lot of cool parts about this track. Coming in at number 17 is actually going to be my favorite city tour course, and that's Los Angeles Laps. I know a lot of people don't agree with that, but I think it's actually a really cool track. I love the baseball section where you glide over the baseball stadium. I love all the laps just being different sections. The first lap being the beach, second lap being the city, and the third lap being what Los Angeles actually looks like normally. So I think it takes number 17. Coming in at number 16 is actually probably my favorite version of Mushroom Gorge now, and that is Mushroom Gorge. Now, on the Wii, it was very cool, and on the 3DS, it was also really cool, but what I love about this version is that there's 3 different ways to bounce off the mushrooms. You got the glider section, you have the left side, and the right side. You also could still take the shortcuts. You could take the one at the beginning, and you could take the one at the end. Coming in at number 15 is going to be DK Summit. Now, I really don't know which one I prefer between the Wii one and this version, but I do really like this course. It looks really beautiful. The half pipes are super weird, and I don't know whether I prefer them or not, but it's still the nice classic DK Summit course that we had since the Wii. Everything's still here, and everything is still beautiful, but actually much more beautiful, to be honest. Now, coming in at number 14 is actually Calamari Desert. Now, I really love this course. Now, although the train doesn't really block you as well on the first lap as it used to on the N64, you gotta give credit on the second lap where you actually drive on the train track and go back onto the stage. I think that's an insanely cool part, and I love that Nintendo thought so creatively on that. And that's why it's at number 14. Another track that they got really creative with is Peach Gardens. Now, there is some parts about Peach Gardens I don't like as much. Obviously, there's little sections that don't have the bushes anymore. However, they made up with making this track look beautiful, first off. And second, the third lap, you actually go around a secret path and go backwards on the track. You go backwards, and one of those sections is a gliding section. It's really, really cool. coming in at number 12 is the shocker that was SNES Bowser Castle 3. Let me say, wow. Although this track layout is still the SNES version, and obviously it still has a little hints of SNES, they made this track turn to a scary, beautiful looking Bowser Castle. And I will say, it is an insane ride to go to. If you're picking a track, pick this one, because it's insanely cool. Coming in at number 11 is Coconut Mall. Now, I hate that this is number 11 because it's my favorite course on Mario Kart Wii, but the escalator and the Shy Guys placing the knees had to tank it down a little bit. Now, Wave 1 did ruin a lot of courses, but this still is Coconut Mall, and this still is an excellent track. The music is beautiful, it still looks beautiful, and the ads are incredibly funny, but it does just miss the list. Making the top 10 list is Koopa Cape. Yes, Koopa Cape actually made the top 10 list and Coconut Mall didn't. Now, everything isn't perfect about Koopa Cape, but it is still Koopa Cape itself. I love the tube, even though it doesn't have the shockers. It does have the half pipe that you can do really cool tricks off. I love all the half pipes, and I love just the way it looks. It just looks outstanding. Coming in at number 9 is Waluigi Stadium. And let me just say, wow, the way they made this dirt look is absolutely outstanding. I love this unique and cool track. I love the little new tracks that they added above the actual track itself. It's really cool. They just made this track look absolutely beautiful. The music sounds outstanding. Just everything about it. I actually prefer it more than the original. Coming in at number 8 is going to be Maple Treeway. Now, although I don't like the music as much, I do think this track looks really beautiful. Like, outstandingly beautiful. I love this remake. I'm glad they brought this track back. It is a classic from Mario Kart Wii. And, you know, without this track, it would kind of suck. My only thing with this track, though, is I don't like the glider part. I wish the bridge was there. But everything else is great. Now, I know this might surprise some of you, but I am putting Rainbow Road at number 7. Don't get me wrong, this track is absolutely outstanding, and it's a beautiful track, but I just can't take the fact that the track still looks very tourish, and I don't think it's as good as one other Rainbow Road on this. However, it's still an outstanding track. It's a great remake from the Wii. It looks stunning, and I had a huge smile on my face when I first played this. It's great. Now, coming in at number 6 is going to be GameCube's DK Mountain. I love this remake. I don't know if everybody does, but I definitely do. This track looks stunning. I love the DK barrels. I love the ramps that are now a part of the mountain. I love that you can still take the shortcut. I love literally everything about this track. It is such an amazing track. I love the bridge too. Now, it wouldn't be a Mario Kart list without Waluigi Pinball, the absolute classic itself. Now, I know Waluigi Pinball isn't number 1, and it's kind of shocking, but there is some things I prefer about the 4 other tracks ahead. This track is probably the most beautiful track out of them all. I love the colors on this track. Only thing about this track, though, although it is still basically the same Waluigi Pinball, the remake song they decided to choose is terrible. Coming in at number 4 is going to be Squeaky Clean Sprint. This track is outstanding. I love the bathroom theme that they made with this track. It is really cool. Going down the drain, going up by the toilet, getting sprayed by the toilet water, the little shortcuts you have around the track. Dude, there's just so many things cool about this track, and it absolutely is an outstanding new track. Coming in at number 3 is Ninja Hideaway. I know this is a Wave 1 track, but it actually is an outstanding track. This track has multiple alternative paths. The ninja theme's cool. The music is outstanding. And I know some people wouldn't put this as high as they did before, but this track still hits my top 3. It's a really cool and unique idea of a track. I love it. Coming in number 2 is Yoshi's Island. Now, Yoshi's Island might not have the best track layout, but it's actually the theme, and that's my favorite out of all these courses. The Yoshi's Island theme is outstanding. All the enemies around, the cloud you go off to get on the drawbridge that you could potentially get, throwback to Yoshi's Island. Just everything about this track is themed beautifully. Even the coins are themed. Coming in at number 1 though is still 3DS Rainbow Road. Dude, this track gave me the biggest smile on my face when I first played this. It is the most beautiful track in Mario Kart history. It is the most insane Rainbow Road I've ever played, and I just love the remake of this track. They made it outstanding, and it deserves number 1 by a mile. Well guys, that was all 48 tracks. I know some of them were very brief and maybe not the best explanations of all time, but there's a lot of tracks and it's kind of hard to go through full detail why I love every single track or why I hate every single track. So I gave a brief explanation. I love this game, I love the Booster Course Pass, and I want to thank Nintendo for everything they did with it. They did a great job, and I really hope Mario Kart 9 or whatever the new Mario Kart that comes out will be just as spectacular, maybe even better graphic wise. Hopefully it's like the original Mario Kart 8 if they did do another Mario Kart. There was some minuses with this, some ups from this. We haven't had a new Mario Kart in the longest time, so this was a fresh breath of air when we got this as a brand new way of playing Mario Kart tracks. A lot of these tracks are really insanely cool, and I appreciate Nintendo for everything they did making these courses. But yeah guys, that is going to end it here. If you guys disagree or agree, comment down below, let me know. Most likely it's going to be disagreeing, but it's all good. Just let me know. Yeah, I want to hear your guys' list. Tell me your list down below in the comments. I want to hear what you guys think. I'll probably disagree with you. Maybe I'll even agree with you in some senses. Just let me know. I want to hear them down below. But anyways guys, that will be the end of today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed this. It's a long time coming. Have a great day, and goodbye.